What's up, Panther Nation? My name is Anthony Dunn, here with my boy Joey from the Low Country Riolana, and this is Cat Chronicles. We got a great show tonight. We are going to be talking backstabbing Ric Flair. We're going to be talking game lines, national media respect. Who is greater, Cam or Kaepernick? How decisive was the 49ers win in the Icicle match, and who will prevail in Bank of America in this Sunday? But first, I want to welcome our featured guest, Peter Panancy, who is a Bleacher Report analyst and a 49ers fan and writer. How you doing? And thanks for coming on the show, Peter.
I'm doing great. Thanks, guys, for having me. I appreciate it.
Man, we're excited. It's a big week for the Panthers. It's a big week for the 49ers and a big week for football. But just real quick, as always, guys, you can check us out on our website, www.carolinacatchronicles.blogspot.com. Be sure to check us out for the freshest.
You can follow us on Twitter at cat_chronicles, and on Facebook, like us, please, at facebook.com/catchronicles. Let's get down to it, Tony. Let's break it down.
All right. Well, what we do, Peter, is we start with a kind of a segment. Our first segment is breaking down the box. And usually, I mean, we don't try to go too much into past games because everybody wants to talk about next week. And that's what people want to hear about. But let's talk briefly about what is this Icicle match in Green Bay. Just how good did the 49ers look? Was their win decisive? And, Pete, what did you think about that win?
Well, I tell you, it was one of those games where, going into it, you knew that the Packers were going to be, almost at full strength, especially with Aaron Rodgers back. The 49ers game plan, as complicated as it would be, number one priority, it had to keep Aaron Rodgers off the field. So, that means for the offense, sustaining drives. That means putting up points. Offensively speaking, the 49ers kind of got off to a slow start. They had some nice drives, but, ended in field goals the first two times. And, once Aaron Rodgers kind of got into a rhythm, it was like, okay, here we go. This is going to be, something to keep an eye on. But, from a good standpoint, the 49ers really did a pretty good job at bottling up Aaron Rodgers for a sizable portion of the game. He's going to hurt you. He's going to do some damage to you. So are those receivers. So is Eddie Lacy running the ball. But, 49ers got to him, put a lot of pressure on him, sacked him. He got away a couple times and, late in the game. But, I think the biggest takeaway from me was to at least be able to know that 49ers went on the road. They beat a tough team that, whose record does not indicate, how good they are. They're much better than their record indicates. And to go in there, play under those circumstances, cold weather, whatever.
Icicle weather, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, that wasn't cold weather. That was a frozen tundra, dude.
Yeah, and I'm looking at guys in short sleeve shirts, and I'm like, what are you thinking, man? I'm getting cold watching you. Mm-hmm. But, to go up there in that environment and be able to pull a win out, I thought was big. And, there's no easy games in the playoffs. And, for the 49ers, if they want to make it to the Super Bowl, it's probably going to be a lot more road wins. So, this is just the first one in a long way to get there.
Joey, let's go to you real quick. And what did you feel about this matchup? Was the 49ers win decisive? What did you see?
I think Peter pretty much nailed it. They didn't look their best. Yeah, that's for sure. I feel Kaepernick was the difference in the game, in my opinion. Michael Crabtree had a fantastic game. You could really see the difference he makes when he's on the field. That's a completely different team. And not only is the team better, but the other players, Anquan Bolden, Gore, and the tight end, Davis, they're all better. They're all better just with his presence on the field. Defense looked vulnerable to me. They got ran on some. Eddie Lacy's a hard runner. He's a beast to bring down, a la Mike Tolbert. And yeah, Colin Kaepernick had a pretty good game overall, not just with his arm. He had a decent game with his arm, but he really looked good running the ball. It looked like he used the most opportune times to leave the pocket and really hurt the defense.
Yeah, I think what we were talking about this last night, Joe, and one thing that you mentioned is that Kaepernick pulled a Cam Newton.
Yes, he did.
And, he made something happen when it needed to happen. But, I agree with you. I think I just want to make a couple of points on this, is that, I wasn't entirely blown away by this performance. I mean, I respect it. I thought it was a tough matchup on the road. I would be concerned anytime you play a quarterback to the, of the caliber that Rodgers is.
Yeah.
And we play a quarterback like this in our own division twice a year, and that's Drew Brees is in that same category, top 5 quarterbacks. So you're right, is that anytime the game can be on the line, and it really was. But the reason I say I wasn't just blown away by this. I mean, they didn't run away with it. I mean, you guys did kick a field goal to win it with 0 seconds left.
Oh, yeah.
Or 1 second. So it was a tight matchup, but it does show a lot about the toughness of the 49ers, because, hey, we did something similar in San Francisco, just a close win, but, a win is a win. It doesn't matter if it's by 3 points or by 20 points, in my opinion. The other thing I think I took away from this game is that I felt like we really see how short the media attention span is, or their attention span is, because the media has jumped ship for wild card teams this week. And I know that there's been upsets with the wild card in the past. We've had, I guess, weren't the Ravens a wild card last year?
Yeah,
Yes,
I think that, yeah.
And then the Giants were a wild card one year.
Year before that.
New England too, I think. And so, we've seen wild cards go on to win it, but, I don't know if we can use these anecdotes to just say that is the standard. And right now, I think there's 2 teams that are outside of the 49ers that the media has jumped on, and that is Indy. Like, Indy's going to go in there, and I heard people calling Indianapolis to upset the Patriots, which I think it is going to be a tough game, but the Chargers really over the Broncos, I just don't know if I could buy that. So I think some of the attention has been like that wild card hype. So, I don't feel like you guys were necessarily played an unbeatable game, Peter.
No, it wasn't. I mean, it was sloppy from a number of different perspectives. I mean, you mentioned, Kaepernick having a full complement of weapons with, Crabtree, Davis, and Bolden. That made a big difference. But, the clock management was real sloppy. Some of the secondary coverage was sloppy. And I can't tell you what goes on in between the headsets, but there are just some things, even from just a casual fan's perspective, that you're thinking, what's going on? I mean, the 49ers calling a timeout at the 14:55 mark of the third quarter. It's like, those are mistakes that you can't make going forward.
Yeah.
So I mean, like you were saying, was it decisive? They've played better.
Yeah, and I think there was was that early timeout call because of miscommunication between Frank Gore and Kaepernick? Is that the one? There was one time they were not on the same page. I can't remember. Like, Gore lined up on the left, and Kaepernick thought he was going to be on the right. Maybe it was loud. It was loud in there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there was I can't remember what that first timeout was about. But it's been a plague for the team all season long, and there's been problems with getting the plays in on time. And I mean, if you follow the 49ers, you see that a lot. And it's like, oh, we're burning another timeout. But there was miscommunication there. I remember, they'd be running the read option, and Gore would take off to the right, and there's Kaepernick handing the ball off to the left, and you're kind of like, what?
Yeah.
Well, someone's not talking to somebody.
He's young. He's only played like what did he play, like 8 games last year, and and then the 17.
So learning curve.
Sure. All right, Joey, you want to comment anything else on that game, or you want to just go ahead and move on and get to what we all want to talk about?